She will forgive a man who is late. She will forgive a man who is broke. She will forgive a man who fails, who falls, who loses everything he built with his own hands. But there is one thing she will never forgive, and almost no man ever sees it coming. It is not weakness that destroys love. It is the slow, quiet death of respect. And once respect dies in a woman's eyes, nothing you do after that will bring her back. We have been lied to about love. We were taught that if you are kind enough, patient enough, agreeable enough, a woman will stay. We were taught that peace is built on constant comfort, constant reassurance, constant yes. But Machiavelli, 5 centuries ago, writing for princes and rulers, uncovered a truth about human nature that has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with the human heart. He said that it is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, not because fear is good, but because love is fragile, and control built on love alone collapses the moment convenience disappears. A woman does not want a man who is cruel. But she does not want a man she can predict either. She wants a man whose respect she has to earn, not a man who begs for hers. Here is the part that will make you uncomfortable. Somewhere in your life you were told that if you just try harder, if you just give more, if you just prove your loyalty over and over, she will finally see your worth. So you called twice a day. You apologized first, even when you were right. You cancelled your own plans to be available for hers. You thought this was love. It was not love. It was surrender. And nothing kills desire faster than surrender. Machiavelli understood something brutal about power that applies just as much to the bedroom as it does to the battlefield. The moment people sense they can control you completely, they stop respecting you. Not because they are evil, because it is human nature to devalue what costs nothing. A woman does not fall in love with a man's availability. She falls in love with his boundaries. She falls in love with the parts of him that do not move, no matter how hard she pushes. Think about the men women actually stay loyal to, through hardship, through years, through storms that would end other relationships. It is never the man who agreed with everything. It is the man who had a spine, the man who could say no and mean it, the man whose calm did not depend on her mood. There is a certain kind of stillness in a man that a woman cannot manufacture. Herself, and because she cannot create it, she is drawn to it like gravity. That stillness is not coldness, it is command. And command, Machiavelli would tell you, is never given. It is taken quietly, through discipline, through self-respect, through the simple, terrifying act of valuing yourself enough not to chase. Now here is where most men get it dangerously wrong, and where this idea becomes twisted into something ugly. Some men hear, she wants strength, not weakness, and they turn it into control. They turn it into games, manipulation, cruelty disguised as confidence. That is not power. That is insecurity wearing a mask. Machiavelli never said to be feared, through violence or humiliation. He said fear must never turn into hatred, because a ruler who is hated eventually falls, no matter how much power he holds. The same is true here. A woman does not want a man who dominates her. She wants a man who does not need to. There is a difference between control and character, and almost nobody teaches it. Control says, I will make you need me by making you feel small. Character says, I do not need to make you feel anything because I already know who I am. Women can sense the difference in seconds, even if they cannot explain it. One makes her shrink, the other makes her want to become more. So what does she actually want? Not games. Not silence used as punishment, not cruelty, mistaken for confidence. She wants a man who is emotionally honest but not emotionally dependent. A man who can say I love you without that love becoming a leash around his own neck. A man who can disappear into his purpose, his work, his mission, and come back to her, not because he has nowhere else to be, but because he chooses her again and again, with his eyes open. This is the part nobody tells you. A woman does not fall for potential. She falls for direction. Machiavelli spent his life studying rulers who lost everything the moment they stopped moving, the moment they became comfortable, the moment they assumed loyalty was guaranteed. Relationships die the exact same way. The man who stops growing becomes predictable. The man who becomes predictable becomes invisible. And the man who becomes invisible loses her, not to another man, but to boredom, to that quiet, suffocating boredom that no woman will ever admit is the real reason she left. Here is a truth that will sting. She does not leave because you stopped loving her. She leaves because you stopped becoming someone worth loving. Every day you shrink, every day you avoid conflict just to keep peace. Every day you erase your own needs to satisfy hers, you are not building intimacy. You are building resentment in her and in yourself. And resentment is silent. It does not announce itself. It waits. It waits until one day she looks at you and feels nothing, and even she does not fully understand why. This is why Machiavelli's darkest lesson matters here more than any romantic poem ever written. He said men should be judged by their actions, not their intentions, because the world does not reward good intentions, it rewards results. A woman does not care how much you meant to protect her. She cares whether you actually did. She does not care how much you meant to grow. She cares whether you actually changed. Words are cheap, patterns are the truth. And a woman, whether she says it out loud or not, is always watching your patterns, not your promises. There is a warning inside all of this, one most men refuse to hear until it is too late. The moment a woman stops testing you is not always the moment she trusts you completely. Sometimes it is the moment she has already given up trying to see if you will step up. Silence is not always peace. Sometimes silence is a woman quietly rehearsing her exit because she has already said what she needed to say more than once and nothing changed. By the time she goes cold, the conversation is often long over in her mind. You are simply the last one to find out. So what is the brutal lesson hidden underneath all of this? It is not that women want power games, it is that respect is not a gift you give once and expect to last forever. Respect is a currency, and it must be earned continuously, through consistency, through self-respect, through the courage to hold your ground even when holding it is uncomfortable. Love without respect becomes pity, and pity, dressed up as loyalty, is the quiet killer of almost every relationship that seemed from the outside unbreakable. If there is one truth Machiavelli would want you to walk away with, it is this. Do not aim to be loved above all else. Aim to be respected, and let love grow in the space that respect creates. A man who is only loved can be replaced the moment love fades. A man who is respected becomes difficult to replace, because respect is rare, and rare things do not lose their value with time. She does not want a perfect man. She does not want an obedient man. She does not want a man performing strength while secretly terrified of losing her. She wants a man whose peace does not depend on her permission. A man who can walk away, not because he wants to, but because he could, and still chooses to stay. That single truth, quiet and dangerous, is worth more than every romantic gesture combined. So ask yourself honestly, not for her, but for yourself. Are you a man built on approval or a man built on principle? Because the moment you build your identity on someone else's approval, you have already handed them the one thing Machiavelli warned every ruler never to give away without a fight: power over you. And no one, no matter how much they love you, will respect a throne you were too afraid to sit on yourself.